Hello and thank you for joining us on the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Today on the program, NLC TUC reject proposed fuels price hike and 5,000 naira to replace petrol subsidy as Senate tackles federal government that no provision for the grant in 2022 budgets. Zamfara State orders closure of filling stations, bakery over banditry as farmers lament burning of farm produce by bandits to hurt them. And later on the show, Lagos State budgets 1.38 trillion naira for 2022 as education takes 171.6 billion naira. I'll be hanging out with Sam Ibemere and Asuko James. So if you're ready, let the hangout start now. Thank you for staying with us. The planned removal of fuel subsidy in 2022, which could lead to increase in the price of petrol or to 340 naira per litre, and the distribution of 5,000 naira to 40,000 poor Nigerians are already attracting opposition from organized labor. The Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) have rejected the proposal. The NLC President Ayuba Waba said there are no ongoing talks between Labour and the federal government regarding the issue, as negotiation was adjourned indefinitely many months ago. Meanwhile, the Senate has also raised concern that there was no provision for such grants in the 2022 budget presented by President Muhammadu Buhari. Sam, this is getting interesting. Yesterday we discussed this and we look at the proposed 340 naira per litre, 340 naira per litre. That's not the big deal there. The big deal now is that the federal government said they are going to pay 5,000 naira to 40,000, up to 40 million poor Nigerians.
Yeah. Well, if you have anyone has kept, very close touch, with the media, would understand that many Nigerians think that the offer of 5,000 naira to vulnerable Nigerians of about 40 million, is a big joke. A big joke in the sense that it's only going to create ground for even bigger corruption. I mean, we have had a trend of handouts being abused. Lack of transparency, lack of reliable database upon which you could give out those handouts. So there are very serious concerns that the proposal to give out 5,000 naira every month to 40 million Nigerians is one that is not very well thought out. And I share that view very strongly, because you can't just live in an environment where advocism becomes a state policy. You wait for things to happen, and then rather than being proactive, you just feel that you can throw money at it. We've seen what has happened in the past, and nobody is really very impressed. There ought to be a sustainable option to managing this issue. But Ayo, you and I know that there's a history behind this. The question to ask is, how did we get here? Over the years, we have allowed our petroleum industry to go into ruins, corruption, mismanagement, and all that. There's no way we could have sustained the subsidy regime. Down the line, it opened up the doors to corruption. We are all aware of what happened under the Goodluck Jonathan regime. We are still, yet to fully address corruption issues that arose then. So there are very serious concerns that we're just not handling this very well. For TUC and NLC, the outcry is understandable. I mean, they lead workers. They have to put up this appearance of we no go agree. But you and I know that the subsidy regime is not one that we can continue to carry. The fundamentals don't encourage it, don't allow it. You can't import fuel at a landing cost of maybe 180 naira or 200 naira, and then you want to sell it for less than that. Who wants to play Father Christmas?
Part of the problem we have is that I would say the fuel price is about the cheapest in Africa or West Africa. Let me just put it like that. Even that Nigeria is selling it, that has given room so much corruption for smuggling that if you are to buy it at a cheaper rates, that government subsidized rate in Nigeria, you take several tankers to Republic of Benin, Togo, adjoining countries, you just see them in jerry cans and everything that they're selling. I think government should be looking at how to deal with smuggling, how to deal with those loopholes first before we move into this other phase.
Yes, I think that is one of the areas that even the NLC is also concerned about. I'm not sure anybody is against deregulation, but you cannot deregulate. Somebody cannot stand somewhere and say, I'm deregulating, and is also a partaker or a player in that same industry. And just like you said, Nigeria might have the lowest in terms of pump price, because I know Ghana has close to 400 naira per liter, and there are some other, Benin should have about 380 or thereabout. But you cannot even compare, because if you look at even their minimum wage, if you want to start comparing their own minimum wage and our own, is like night and day. So you can't even compare Ghana, whose minimum wage is higher, and our own that is lower. Even the 30,000 that even the NLC has been pursuing,
they've not been able to pay.
They've not been able to pay. Some governors are still complaining that they can't pay. Even the 18,000 is still a big problem. So if you look at it, yes, the government, for them to even say they want to even increase to 340 naira per liter, they must put some things in place. And the major one they have to put in place is for us to make sure that our refineries are working. But, Ayo, if you go, we have 4 refineries, apart from maybe the Niger Delta Petroleum Resources Subsidy. There's one subsidiary that they have, which makes it number 5, because that one just produces, I think, 1,000 barrels per day. Every other one that we know that is called refinery has not produced anything for the past how many years? Since 2016, the Port Harcourt refinery has not produced anything. The LMA, nothing. The Kaduna, nothing. The Warri, nothing. So if we want to, deal with this matter and make sure that, okay, fine, we want to deregulate, and we want to make sure that all the small 1 naira, $2 and all that they are always embedding into, bringing this fuel into Nigeria is removed. Then we'll begin to talk about, okay, is it truly, because even people are also arguing, how much or how many liters do we even consume in a day? Let's even start with that one. Because some people are saying it's 55 million. Some people will say it's 58 million. So we need to also look at how many million liters do we even consume in a day? Because if we know, then from there we now know, okay, maybe it's just one refinery that will even be giving us that particular number of petrol in a day. So there's so much corruption that is around this thing. And then the government, they need to come out clean, because Nigerians are not happy with their decision.
Now, part of what will happen is that already we have a kind of hyperinflation, as in when you see the trend, buying goods and services across the country, you have a problem. Now, when you start buying a liter of fuel, 340 naira, the multiplier effects that we have on everything. And the way we are now, it can get worse.
Yeah, I already alluded to the fact that we live in very interesting times.
Terrible.
But how do we deal with it? Beyond the sentiments, Ayo, we've got to look at the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals? You're not producing enough. The one you import, you want to subsidize it at whose expense? So for me, those are the key issues. We need to go beyond the sentiments. And we also need to place this in proper context. We should not forget that just sometime in August, the president signed into law the Petroleum Industry Act.
Yes.
And of course, there are elements of that act that need to be dealt with. And one of these is that NNPC has to be run profitably, has to be run as a commercial institution. Now, if that is the case, why would NNPC, as a player, if it continues to be a player in bringing fuel, why would they bring in fuel and then sell it at a loss? So beyond sentiments, the government has to confront this economic issue, all right? And we just have to face the fact that at some point, as a country, we have resolved that we need to run this institution or this organization profitably. We all negotiated it. It went through the National Assembly. The task for the government is to ensure that there is some form of social dialogue that is going on. Nigerians have to be properly educated, okay, on the essence of this challenge the essence of this challenge that we are facing, and deal with it. Otherwise, we'll just continue to pretend, and government will continue to play Father Christmas, and the economy continues to go into ruins.
So how are we going to ensure that? How are we going to ensure that the likes of NNPC, that government will have to carry them along? They have to bring them to the negotiation table, because I see all this strike, these guys, TUC, NLC, the normal strike, and if the government is on the same page with this labor union, to let them understand the kind of how to cushion the effect on the hardship that the hardship of 340 naira might bring. I just don't want to think about it.
Yeah. The thing is, government has to be sincere when they are doing these negotiations.
That's just about it.
They are not being sincere. I know that government was already talking with NLC concerning this same matter as well as other matters, especially the salaries, the minimum wage. So for them to have come up with this decision, just like Sam said, the new NNPC, the one that is now in the as a profit organization, you understand? Which is the NNPC with the C, not corporation but company. You understand? Deciding that now it has to be 200 and 340. The government will have to bring that company. They will sit down with NLC before they decide. Now, because that NLC is a Nigerian company, and we want it to make profits. I think it behoves on the federal government to know that we want NNPC to run and make money for us.
And there has to be transparency.
That is it.
I think that's what Nigerians are asking for. Okay, so let's even assume that.
Caller, Babari is calling us from Abeokuta, that's in Ogun State.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, Babari.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening and good afternoon.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Please, I want to join the discourse, and honestly, I am really elated because I have been expecting this move by the NLC and TUC, because it's time Nigerians should stand up and talk and speak. We just don't just keep quiet and not talking. Look at it, the price of gas on the hike, electricity on the high side, petrol again on the high side. What is it? I have been saying that this is a modern pharaoh that we have in Nigeria. So Nigerians should now, I'm not saying there should be violence, but let the government know that the people are too much pushed to the wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Babari from Abeokuta. And one other thing there is that Nigerians don't have faith in this Labour Congress until you see the way it's constituted.
That's the truth.
They threatened to embark on several strikes, and we've not seen anything concrete coming out from it. Under Ayuba Waba, a lot of people will tell you that the Nigerian Labour Congress is an extension of APC.
The strong perception out there is that the NLC, the TUC have all been sucked into the government, and so they don't have the moral right anymore, as it were, to hold government accountable. So when I spoke earlier, I talked about... A
lot of people will ask you that, how much did former President Jonathan, how much did he increase that, the increment he did in 2012, that we had the Ojota rally.
Exactly.
That the Save Nigerian group, all Pastor Bakari, everybody mobilized, that this government has done far more than that. And where are the activists?
I mean, Ayo, they now have become part of the government. That is a very strong perception. It's up to them to convince Nigerians otherwise. And so this initial gragra, permit my use of that word, is more like let's put up this appearance that we no agree. But you and I appreciate the fact that even the NLC president understands that the subsidy regime is not sustainable. They understand these things. So Nigerians are asking for transparency at all levels, not just for government, but even for the labor leaders. They should be asking critical questions. Fine, there could be need to increase price, but at what level? What metrics? What stats are going to be used to compute the new price of petrol per liter? That's what Nigerians are interested in. Nobody should wake up and tell Nigerians petrol is going to sell for 340 naira per liter without a basis, without justification for it. We need to know how many, like you said, liters of fuel are being consumed daily. How many liters? Yes. What is the quantity of?
Not projected.
What's the quantity of crude Nigeria is producing? How much of it is being sold? How much is remitted? Nigerians want to know, and these are the challenges that the labor unions.
Accountability in that section.
Is NLC asking these kind of questions? If they are they satisfied? Now, if they are satisfied, the onus is on them to go back to the workers and say, fine, we have gotten into conversations with government. We are convinced that these are the realities on the ground. This is what we need to do. We cannot pretend. This economy cannot be run as a charity. It's not done anywhere.
As you got the decision to even say, 5,000 naira for 40 million Nigerians. So how the yardstick of selecting 40 million poor Nigerians. That's the question on the lips of a lot of people.
That thing is just like a gamble or whatever. Well,
don't forget the thing is. There are 10,000 something for the poorest of the poor.
Of course, even till date, we've not known the number of people that have collected that money. I don't even want to talk about that. What of COVID? When some people were at home and they were saying that they want to distribute food items to
not that they wanted to. They told us that they actually
did it.
Distribute.
And then they told us how much that was spent for it. So this one is just another way of saying, we are going to give you 5,000. Ayo, I bought fuel 5,000 naira on Monday. And my tank was not filled up.
No,
it was not filled up.
So now 25 liters.
Yes, you understand. So if they need to also tell us, just like Sam is saying, the transparency. Who are the number of people? Who are the people that will benefit from this 5,000 naira? How many times or how many years or how many months will they get this 5,000? Because they just said they are going to give 5,000, but to 40 million Nigerians. So how long will this 5,000 be? Will it just be monthly, quarterly, or yearly? Because you can't tell me that if you give me 5,000, because even if they give you the 5,000, you will still suffer.
No, let's just even look at the purchasing power of 5,000 naira in the market.
In the market today, you cannot even buy anything with 5,000 because you can go to a canteen today, 2,000 naira. If you want to eat belle full, as they will say, you will eat 3,000 naira sitting down, and then you stand up, you go home. That is, you are left with 2,000 naira. So if, for instance, your office was on the island, you will spend 1,000 to come back home.
I think our leaders.
Okay, I have Njoku calling us from Inewi. That's in Anambra State.
Hello,
City of billionaires.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Njoku.
Okay, my name is Njoku Kennedy. I'm calling from Enugu.
Enugu, sorry.
Not Inewi.
Not Inewi.
Yeah, from Enugu. Please, I want to thank you guys first and foremost because of the good work you're doing. But I'm surprised that today that such an important issue is being discussed, that the Babalola himself and Babajide is not on seat.
They discussed
today.
it yesterday.
Jide cannot be here every time. We discussed it yesterday.
Yes.
We started the discussion yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Please, what I want to talk about this increased fuel pump price which the government is proposing. I think that for it to be seen, to be well done, that they should first of all make sure that the 4 refineries are operating. If these refineries are operating at maximum capacity, I don't think we will have the need for us to import fuel from outside. because that is where the problem lies. Okay. How can a government that came to power with promises of turning around the moribund refineries, now, since that 2015, they have not even revived even one single refinery? I wish for this country. I wish for Nigeria.
Thank you for your contribution.
He's talking about turnaround.
But don't forget the money for $1.5 billion
to turn around. We've not heard anything about it.
Up to a year now.
Yes, closer to some months, because I know it's this year that they signed that deal. They are working there, but we don't know when it will come on stream.
There's a huge information gap. The government is not doing enough to communicate.
Exactly.
I mean, Nigerians were told that the government was insistent on fixing the refineries. Budget was made, commitments, were also made. But how much of what is going on is being communicated to Nigerians? It's important.
Yes.
If Nigerians are aware, okay, they won't be asking too many questions. And I don't want us at all times to think that Nigerians are not patriotic. Okay, the reason we make noise all the time is because our government doesn't seem to show enough transparency in the conduct of governance. That's the matter. So yes, there's information that government is fixing the refineries. How long will it take? How much job has been done, or how much of the reconstruction has taken place? That is not in the public space.
Let me take you back to this issue of 5,000 naira for 40 million Nigerians. And when you want to look at it, you, Sammy, right. What can 5,000 naira do in your daily as a family man? I don't know. Of course. Gas can't.
Gas is 8,700.
More than that. It's almost 10,000 naira now. You and I know.
You
and I know that the naira has lost so much value. That is a fact. There isn't much that 5,000 naira can fetch anyone, especially if you have a family of 2 or 3. Okay, in a month that probably will be 5 times 30. How much you need to pay rent, you need to buy, food items at home, you need to pay school fees.
No, it's not possible.
Do you understand? So that is tokenism. It doesn't serve any purpose. It can't take people out of poverty. Nigerians are asking for economic policies that are more sustainable, that citizens can connect with. 5,000 naira is tokenism. It can't serve any purpose. And that's why some of us were really very bitter yesterday when one of the governors in the Southeast was talking about how much the state government gives to women after childbirth, 500 naira. And the man was probably beating his chest and saying that was a commendable act on the part of government. So 5,000 naira is not the issue. The issue here is that we need to build systems that can guarantee Nigerians better life, not the tokenism that seems to have become government policy.
So, Asuko, what can we do to cushion the effect of the 340 naira proposed price for a liter of petroleum?
I think first, government need to bring out new policies that will look at helping the small-scale businesses to survive, because that is where those are the people that will bear this, increase. Because they are the ones that will help. Imagine if, for instance, they remove the subsidy, about 250 billion, subsidy, and then they push it into young entrepreneurs, those who are into bakery, recycling, of nylon or whatever, plastic recycling. So many small-scale businesses that I can't even imagine. Then you push that, because each small-scale business will at least employ up to 10 people. By the time we push that into that kind of funds into small-scale businesses, with a good policy, with a good policy, because this government seems to, when they have issues, they want to throw money at it. No, but put policies in place whereby these small-scale businesses will be able to thrive. If, for instance, they need to have electricity and you know where they are camped, give them electricity. If they need transportation, give them transportation. cushion the effects for them so that even those who will be working for them will be able to have confidence in going to work. A good policy is very, very important by the time they increase this fuel pump price.
All right. We'll take this breather. When we come back, we'll talk more. So, journalist Hangout, please stay with us. It's your favorite news and current affairs program, reaching you live from TVC News. Yes, I have Vasuko James and Sam Ibemire still in the studio. In the quest to curb the menace of insecurity in Zamfara State, the governor, Bello Matawale, has ordered the closure of filling stations and a bakery in Gusau and Safi local government areas of the states. The order came after security forces arrested 4 suspects for allegedly supplying petrol and bread to bandits. Meanwhile, farmers in the northwest states have lamented cases of willful burning of farms produced by bandits. The farmers said the bandits are doing that to hurt them, saying they are becoming more and more helpless by the day. Sam, I am aware of the desperation, to cut these people. Some people benefit from the economy of this whole thing. Yeah. The sense that they have people that supply them alcohol, they have people that supply them aphrodisiac, people that supply them drugs, people that supply them even food. So if you can cut that chain, they become more desperate. At a point in time, we were told somewhere in Kebbi State that a bag of rice could have, no, I think in Katsina State, at custom, they were actually exchanging the bag of rice with bandits to get abductors out.
It's an act of desperation. You already know that these guys are controlling territories and managing those territories. So they need to get items in to sustain, daily living, because government is doing all they can to ensure that they starve them of these things, not just money, but also food items, which oftentimes is a strategy to prosecute, war. But the sad thing we have, in Zamfara, is that it's not just the epicenter. We have total anarchy in that place. The entire 14 local government areas, you have acts of banditry going on, real time. The entire Zamfara state. It's not like some other states in the northwest where acts of banditry are going on in almost all the local governments in Zamfara. Yes, it's a total mess. And not everything that happens that you and I get to read. Just a few filter into the media space. So what we have on our hands is almost near anarchy in that place, and you can see how the government is struggling with it today. We place a ban on supply. Selling of fuel in certain locations, or suspend movement of bicycles or motorcycles elsewhere. It just tells you that we don't have an organized response. What is happening in Zamfara, in most states in the north, is just a containment policy. It's not about rooting them out. Can we contain them? Can we keep them far away from the centers of governance? That's what is happening. So the guys are basically running riots all over the place, collecting taxes, looting homes, harvesting people's farms. And the government appears to be helpless. And that is why, intermittently you find the government, takes one ad hoc, decision to do this. After that, if it doesn't work, you shut down the telecoms mast and all that. After some time, release it. So it's basically a containment policy, and it's not taking us anywhere. It's not taking us anywhere. There has to be a defined strategy that goes all out to root these guys, from their base. No known bandit leader has been arrested. None. Even the ones you see paraded that are mere foot soldiers who, if you look at them, you can't find the so-called money that they seem to be making from the entire, evil exercise. So we just hope that government finds the courage to move beyond containment to taking out these guys, as a matter of policy.
Taking out these guys as a matter of policy is something that we've seen that beyond Zamfara, it has gone to Katsina, it has spread to Kaduna, now the whole territories in Niger State. And something that just started like joke. It's now like spreading like wildfire, and it's becoming a kind of national threat.
It's even a national embarrassment, because if you look at how can some young ragtag boys be running riot everywhere
And holding everyone to ransom.
and holding most local governments in Zamfara.
Did you see that video of Abuja Kaduna Express?
Yeah, exactly.
I think I saw two versions of
Yes,
the
I
video.
saw two. There's a one that was like a movie. I don't know if you saw that one that they were shooting.
They were shooting sporadically into the air.
Just some small
That
boys.
particular route.
Some small boys who just got their hands got weapons, and then they've taken up communities. Look at what they are doing in Zamfara. Because you can't pay tax, what they will now do is they will come and burn your crops. Whatever you have, whether maize, whether soya beans, some people are complaining because this is the harvest season. And so they are supposed to reap what they have sown. But look at, they just go there, burn down the whole farm, which is wickedness. And sometimes they go to communities, they rape women, And not that, I also want to say that even most people in Zamfara, I know that it's difficult because even security agencies are supposed to play a major part. And when I mean a major part, in trying to get information and make sure they conceal the identities of those who are giving them information. Because some of these bandits are well known to people in Zamfara. So if, for instance, there's a Mr. A that they know that is a bandit, and they tell a police officer, if I tell a police officer that Mr. A is a bandit, is my life secured? That is a major problem now. That is a major problem. So if government says they want to get intelligence, the only way you can get it is through the people that are in the communities. But the people know them, but they can't say anything. So they will prefer to Israel, and then they will stay there. Whatever they can face, they will face. So government, just like Sam is saying, must look at another strategy for them to deal with these guys. What we have been seeing and parading up and down have been the small boys. The person that is beating the drum is somewhere. Those who are dancing are the ones that they are arresting. We must deal with those who are beating the drum. If not, we will keep going in circle, and then this thing will begin to make sense. See, Ayo, the thing is becoming a cancer. And if we do not cut it from the root, it's going to consume us.
At the point in time, it got to the southwest, the maiden road to the south.
Yes. Because they're practically having a field day, Like I said, no serious policy to deal with the matter. It's just basically trying to manage them. And some of the reports, Ayo, that we get from, inside sources within the military just tells you that we don't seem to have sufficient coordination, You have a situation where the military decides to take on the bandits on the particular, flank. And then the adjoining states, are left to, to just manage the issues themselves. They are not part of that strategy to take those people out. I've had very close friends in the military say, look, sometimes you find that when there's a military activity going on in a place like Zamfara, the adjoining states are not part of it. Whereas in an ideal situation, you should have a situation where the guys are at the boundaries, are waiting for them just in case they are escaping. So they can afford to come to the southwest or go to the north central, because the whole place, the entire place is porous.
Okay, I have Obi calling from Jalingo, that is in Taraba State. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Ayo, good evening.
Good evening.
We have one of the finest and best soldiers in this world. That many times when we are in our 70s, like my father especially, has gone to about 3 different countries on the mission of peacekeeping. So I wonder why all these things are happening. You see, the problem is we have the strength. The Nigerian army can tackle this. The securities in this country can tackle this thing once and for all. Unless if they want us to start believing what late Abacha said, that any insecurity in this country that exceeds more than 48 hours, the government must have an hand inside. You see, I hope the people in authority are actually listening to journalists and because you guys are actually doing the best. I remember one time that the vice president was live on this channel. I hope he will actually transmit what you guys actually discussed with him to his boss, so that at least this thing will just end up once and for all. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you, Abi. We are reaching out, and we'll continue to reach out. They watch, and then we want to believe that they know what to do, but it's getting like we're stretching like our patience. Now we know our boundaries. Before I can actually jolly well leave Lagos and drive to Kaduna, or from Lagos. When I get to Abuja,
it's like being on a suicide mission.
Before.
You know even the trip that we just made recently.
Yes.
You know the trip.
Hey, man, I still go.
The trip.
It was just the grace of God.
Honestly.
It was just the grace of God.
Because you will see potholes, then you will see forest around you.
No suicide mission.
And so it was like, fine. Let's just go. Let's just travel and have an open mind, traveling. Let's just explore Nigeria. Let me put it that way. But in trying to see how Nigeria is beautiful, you are afraid. You are just afraid because everywhere you look at is just bush, forest, thick forest. I'm not talking about small, thick forest. And this is where these guys they are holding sway and making money from nowhere. Because it's also so Ayo, it's not easy. People. I think the federal government needs to sit down. Yes, there was a time I heard they wanted to do like a national summit on security. They did that. It was like more of a talk shop. They finished, and at the end of the day, the presenters, the guest speakers delivered whatever they wanted to deliver. But real action is always a big problem. So what we need is for us to begin, because then it was Boko Haram. Now it is bandits. Whether we will do another summit to look at how we can deal with these bandits, let them do it. And they have to do it fast. Another election year is coming. It will be very, very terrible. It will be terrible.
Okay, farm produce being destroyed by bandits to hurt farmers. Now we are looking at food security here now.
Exactly.
If we don't stand this tight, it will hurt us badly.
It's already hurting us. And that's why the price of beans, the price of rice, the price of tomato is all skyrocketing. So it's clear that we've already arrived at that point where food security is threatened. People can't go to farms. Even those who manage to plant their crops can't harvest them because they are not in a position to pay tithe or pay tax to the bandits. And we're taking these things, lying low. If we do a very honest survey of the impacts of this security in the country, we'll just understand. Even the minister in charge of national, defense, has already owned up that Nigeria is already, at the doorsteps of food insecurity.
And it's not only in the north, even in the southwest too. Ondo or your, those areas that they are, going into full-scale farming, they can't even farm anymore. Yes, all those that is the problem. So it's something that the government needs to sit down, because by the time people are becoming hungry,
the bandits have already taken over those farmlands, taken over the forest.
Yes.
Lots of ungoverned space. And so the guys are just riding roughshod over everybody.
To be paying tax before they cultivate.
Exactly.
And that speaks to the failure of governance.
Wow. Okay. Let's come to the southwest now, and let's see now. A fast-growing city like Lagos demands ambitious budgets to meet development demands. The state governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has presented a budget of 1.38 trillion naira for the 2022 fiscal year. Now, in the estimates tagged budget of consolidation, education takes 1.716 billion naira, representing 12.3% education of the total budgets. The health sector got 123.2 billion naira. That's 123 billion naira. While economic affairs received the lion's share of 325.01 billion naira, representing 23.41% of the total appropriation. Let's share the story with you.
About a year ago, the Lagos State Governor presented the year 2021 appropriation bill, which the House of Assembly considered and subsequently approved by the lawmakers after thorough legislative tinkering. As the year 2021 gradually ends, the governor is back with the proposed money bill for the next fiscal year, the 2022 appropriation bill.
Mr. Speaker, distinguished members, none of what we have achieved this year would be possible without the overwhelming support of this honorable House.
Unlike the year 2021 budget, which was tagged Budgets of Rekindled Hope, Governor Sanwo-Olu named the proposed year 2022 budget a budget of consolidation.
2022 is a year in which we will focus obsessively on completing ongoing projects while also expanding our social intervention programs and support for our citizens and for micro and small, medium businesses. The 2022 budget is aimed at consolidating all of our efforts so far into timely delivery of our electoral promises for a greater Lagos to all citizens and residents of our dear state.
With a recurrent expenditure of 44% and capital recurrent expenditure of 59.6%, the proposed 1.388 trillion naira is to be allocated to the various sectors of the economy in this order. He also asked for a special status and complementary fund to be given to Lagos.
There lies ahead of us even more challenging roads that we must work together as we must achieve the Lagos of our dream. I will always remain committed to Lagosians and to the Lagos project, leading from the front, communicating always, welcoming new ideas, receiving great counsel, and taking decisive decisions.
Responding to the presentation, the Speaker commended the state governor, but also called for policies that will bring more dividends of democracy to the people of the state.
Despite the numerous infrastructural development going on in the state, the impact is not yet fully getting to all and sundry as it should be. For instance, the traffic issue in the state has become intractable such that we cannot but look for a holistic approach for solution. At the same time, our policies must be channeled towards fighting poverty in our society, empowering our people, particularly those below poverty line.
The bill awaits second reading on the floor of the House. Abimbola Agbebi, TVC News, Lagos.
There's this practice of trying, always naming these budgets. So Lagos State is saying that this is budget of consolidation. But let me take you to Cross River State, where Governor Ben Ayade has said that the 2022 budget is the budget of conjugated agglutination. Whatever that means, I don't know. But this is a man that we've seen Olympotic, I don't know, the names of...
Mary Stay, something.
Over, it's as if it's a joke, like a huge joke. And
he's a professor. So.
And that state keep budgeting what is not realistic. Because even over and over again. But talking in terms of budget implementation, we know that Lagos State will rank like one of the highest.
Yes, exactly.
In the country. And because it's another thing for you to budget. It's another thing for you to implement the budget and getting funds to finance that budget.
Exactly.
I don't know what how the federal government has been faring up in the last 3 years, but I know Lagos State has been doing 75% of budget implementation in the last 4, 5, 6 years.
Yeah, you can't take that away from Lagos, and it shows the kind of leadership, in Lagos. Lagos seems to be a nation on its own. Lagos can, on its own, take care of its people. But first, before that, they need to get that special status from the federal government. Because once they do that, and federal government is giving them just that 1% that they're asking for, with a solid leader, they'll be able to get to what we really need in Lagos. Now, Governor Sanwo-Olu came with an idea which I feel and I believe if it is implemented, which is the red and the blue line. Because the major problem...
That's the only states in West Africa sub-region that want to facilitate that kind of project.
Yes, that project.
That's really
because there's no state in Nigeria that can try it.
No state can try it.
Nobody.
Even in West Africa, there's no...
So if he's able to bring Agbado and then bring Okoko to the mainland, to the Marina, then we are going somewhere in Lagos. Because right now, the major problem we have is transportation.
Look at the recurrent expenditure, 44%, and look at the capital expenditure. That's
you can see
59.6%.
This will show you where
so
it's
the overhead is not
too much.
Too much.
You can see he's showing you where it's going. That we need to improve on infrastructure. The roads needs to be improved. Transportation needs to improve, so that when people are commuting from one place to the other, they do that safely. You know, and not that you spend hours on the road. You know, even you can see even the speaker complained about transport. You know, so and I feel the governor has to tackle that and use that as a benchmark. I see, honestly, then Ayo, I just hope that red and blue line is achieved in Lagos.
Sam, a state that is going to go that's going to put 171.6 billion naira on education. That's almost 12% of the entire budget. Yeah, that's a level of seriousness.
It does. And of course, there are global standards for some of these sectors that help to define, Human Development Index.
Exactly.
So that allocation is really very significant. In fact, if you look at it in terms of percentages, it's about the third highest in allocation outside, general public service and then
public service, economic affairs.
Yes, very important.
Yes,
it just
outside the economic affairs, general public service, is education.
Yes, so it just tells you that the government is focused on what is very important, to human development, health,
education,
and then the general well-being of the people, and that is why you have more resources committed to capital expenditure than recurrent.
Yes.
Okay, you could say, well, it could be better, maybe move it up to 70, move it to 70, move it to 80 and all that. But it's a fine start, because you visit some states and you notice that the recurrent expenditure is almost 70%, or even much more than that.
Yes.
It doesn't speak to any serious governance.
Right.
So I think Lagos has been lucky. I mean, that's the third largest economy in Africa. It tells you that something big is happening here, and if you don't have, if you have leaders who don't have capacity to manage, this size, then you're in trouble. So it's nice that we have this quality of budget, put out there, and we trust that the government, just as it has done in the past, would ensure that implementation is also key, and then that would impact, on the quality of life, of the citizens. And
Lagos is like
open up the economy
in the country.
Of course.
Because I can't see any other state that is even looking at, touching the taillights. Despite the fact that they have adjoining state like Ogun State or your state and everything, but Lagos State is just like numero uno.
Exactly. No, okay, Ayo, look at the revenue estimate. 1.1 trillion.
Yeah.
1.135 trillion. That is what they are expecting.
Deficit is just a little over
253 billion.
It just shows you that
deficit. So it shows that, okay, this is what we are making, this is what we want to spend, and they are not just spending on frivolities. They are spending on things that will improve lives.
And they have enough idea.
Of course. So other states are supposed to start looking at, okay, how can we benefit from Lagos? Ogun State is there. How can we benefit from? Or your state, how can we? So stuff like that. I think Lagos State is just number one.
All right, we'll leave it there. Sam Ibimere, thank you for your contribution.
My pleasure always.
And Asuko James, thank you for
so much
your contribution. And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11, and don't forget to watch Journalist Hangout on Sunday, 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubakun. See you on Sunday, and God bless Nigeria.